Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned lifestyle and high performance coach. Welcome to Listen Up, the podcast. On this podcast, I do what I do best, taking complicated information that is relevant to us now and breaking it down simply with actionable steps you can implement to level up your life. I also regularly interview some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on the planet who, at their worst, learned how to achieve success greater than anything they ever dreamed possible, creating everything from nothing. If you are new here, I encourage you to go back and listen from episode 1, when this podcast was previously called Leveling Up, for the full transformative experience. When KRisti Frank from season 1 of NBC's The Apprentice came to interview me for the docu-series, The Millionaire Within Her, I was starstruck. She was here to interview me, but I wanted to know all about her success. I mean, KRisti's appeared on every major TV network show from MSNBC, Oprah, The View, subsequently helping entrepreneurs across business channels and media transform their lives and business. Her latest creation, The Millionaire Within Her, is her passion project, and I was so grateful to be a part of it. So here I turn the questions on her. Join in today and learn exactly how KRisti leveled up, creating everything from nothing. So today I'm here with KRisti Frank, who I just met recently. Interesting story. I was asked to be in a documentary and I almost didn't do it because the title of the documentary was The Millionaire Within Her. And I thought, I don't like talking about that type of thing. I'm not somebody who leads about finances or money. And I have my own stories around that, about talking about money. I think a lot of us actually have a story around talking about money. So I almost didn't do it. And then when I started to learn what the documentary was about, that it was more than just the financial part, but what makes a woman successful, the stories that make them successful, I was intrigued. So they sent a host, her name is KRisti Frank, and it was instant connection. It was like, as soon as we met, we couldn't shut up asking each other questions and connecting. And she was interviewing me, but I got very curious about her story, why she came up with this idea, where this thought to create this documentary came from, why she chose to have people like me in it, and what her background is. So I'm learning more about her as I'm interviewing her for you today. So thank you so much for coming, KRisti. I can't wait to chat with you.
Yeah, it's true, Natalie. You and I saw each other and we immediately started girl talking, and then having you on the docu-series, I was like, wait till you hear. We are soul sisters. We came from the same, and we have so much similar background. So I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yay. I know. Let's dive in. Like, first of all, where did this idea even come from? I mean, were you, when did you become successful? Why did you want to create a documentary around this? Where did it even come from?
Wow. So lots in there. Well, I feel like, okay, so I'll tell you about my background, but we'll jump forward to present day. And an entrepreneur that I know and love, Jeff Hayes, he's a documentarian. He's done so many very successful films, and he has figured out a way to create docu-series that are available to the public and do very well. It's not just in Hollywood. He's figured out a way to get it out there. And he does a very successful docu-series called Money Revealed. And when you watch Money Revealed, it's 50 men and 1 woman. And it's Kim Kiyosaki, who's Robert Kiyosaki's wife. And it's all about, here's how you invest in gold. Here's how you do crypto. Here's how you do, it's so Trump like, and then they show airplanes, and it's very masculine. So he said, KRisti, I want to host a docu-series about women and money. And I love this discussion, but I said, Jeff, for women, it's more. For women, it's our family, it's why, it's the freedom, it's our lifestyle, it's our friendship, it's our expression we want to create.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much bigger discussion. And so he kind of looked at me and was like, okay, go do that. And so that led me to this incredible world that we have here, Natalie. You know a lot of these women, incredible, powerful women entrepreneurs from all different areas who've created their dreams and her living their dreams. And I wanted to give this gift back to women of how, like what you're doing. How did you do that? Why did you do that? How do we step into this? It's a whole big conversation that's not just around money, but it's about creating the life that you can only dream.
Yeah. Why do you think so many women are turned off to the topic of money though? Because I mean, even me who helps coach women into success, who has worked to create different businesses that are successful, I'm even turned off sometimes to the idea of millionaire or money. What is that? Have you dug into that at all? And did you find interviewing women that others felt that way?
So I have such a great story. So my dad, my mom and dad were divorced when I was 10. My dad ran the Merrill Lynch Trust Company, and my mom was a school teacher. So I had this dichotomy of like, money is evil and then money is very interesting. So my dad never taught me about money. And so I sat down at the first interview, and one woman was saying, it is so easy to be rich. It's so easy to be a millionaire. And I seriously looked around and thought, she's going to get in trouble for talking about money like this.
Yeah.
Like, as a woman, we're not allowed to just, like, our society has never trained us to bring this up. It's not something you talk about with your girlfriends. It's not something my family even had. My mom the other day was like talking to me about getting married and meeting a man who could provide. Like, it's just not the conversation we're used to. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because guess what? It's time. This is our new frontier. Money's not bad or good. It's just something it's an energy. It's something that can provide, and can be beautiful. And so why does the word millionaire have to, for women, be, it shouldn't have a stigma. We should be like, yes, it's a beautiful thing.
So I like that you've said that. And then when we were doing the interviews, you had told me that that's a theme with people, that like, it's more than just the money. But it is interesting that it sets off a trigger with a lot of people, including me, that instantly goes to, I can't achieve that, or that sounds fishy, or that sounds sketchy, or whatever it is. Like, there's this huge story around it.
Yes. And here's what's crazy, Natalie, that I couldn't even have told you would have ever happened. So I had that story going into this. In TMI, I am a millionaire, and I still had this story. But after listening to 50 women who are so comfortable around money, this is strange to say, but now I'm up to the billionaire. Like, now I can say, yeah, I could be a billionaire, and that's a good thing, because how many more people can I serve? How many more people can I reach? How many more, like, through this series, through hearing all of these things, it's the Marianne Williamson thing. The more I shine, the more abundance, the more I teach others to lift everybody up. And that's where that's why money's just an expression of that. So
what do you define as a millionaire? What that means? You've earned $1 million, you make $1 million a year. Like, what is your definition of millionaire?
Well, if you're going to ask me for, like, I always asked all of you at the end, what does the millionaire within mean to you? And that was I feel like it was the most beautiful thing all of you could say. And it was more about what's inside, and are you being as big and bright and serving and getting everything that you desire for your life. Like, it's more of an internal passion and purpose, and how you create your life. Do you feel like total freedom to create whatever you desire? Is that what it is? That's what, to me, a millionaire, it's more of the lifestyle and freedom. And then if we're talking about money, that's a whole nother discussion. And what's cool is I'm willing to go there too, because I think women, we should be having discussions about money and talking about, hey, what do you invest in? And it's not a taboo subject. It could be just as fun to create money as it is to create a family. And, it should be something we enjoy talking about. And I would love that.
Do you feel that every woman could be a millionaire financially?
100%. I know it. After interviewing these women, what was so surprising to me, and this is so crazy because it is your story and it's my story. It's all about your self-worth and your belief in yourself. From you putting up those vision boards when you started to me putting up my vision boards when I started, I know after all of these women, all of these stories, it's just a mindset. It's just belief that you can and believing in yourself and you can make anything happen.
I fully believe that. But tell me, what is your story? Take us back. Like what is your story? Where were you and how did you come to the awareness that you had to change that mindset?
Well, so I have an interesting story. So I was always fascinated with how to manifest and how to make things come true. I remember when I got the Tony Robbins Awaken the Giant Within, and I wrote down everything I wanted. He has you just brainstorm all the things you want. And so I started being fascinated with that. And then to bring in kind of your lifestyle, I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I wanted a business that could provide me income where I didn't have to be there all the time. It was kind of like his philosophy from rentals. So I, at the time, wrote down something like make $5,000 a month in a business where I didn't have to be there. And what came into my life was a raw food business. He was very famous. And he and I opened a raw foods restaurant in Santa Monica, California, and it became a huge hit. We were on the cover of Newsweek. We were on so much press. Cher like ordered takeout every day. And I was like, wow, this crazy stuff works. I wrote down business. And about that time, I mean, I could talk a lot about that, just even really simple things that I did. You talked about your story, but simple things I did. I just took a moment and thought about my food. It was a raw foods restaurant, my food blessing my body and my food making me feel alive and energetic and happy. And that, along with the goals, writing that down, that was the same exact time when I so I had a restaurant. I also started investing in real estate at the time. And The Apprentice came, and the producers found me based on my restaurant and some real estate things. So everything, it was magically happening. And it really, I was living, I mean, I felt like my dreams were like, I would just think of something and it would happen. And then I got married and pregnant after the show really quickly, and slowly, I was in a really bad marriage, and he would tell me I was ugly. He would tell me I was stupid. I couldn't get a job at the Gap or Starbucks. And he, after 15 years, Natalie, I believed it. I was depressed. I was unhappy.
Wow.
I was sad. And I kind of had lost myself.
Let me ask you a question about that, because how does that happen? Because I hear this story from so many strong women that are powerful and believe in themselves, and then somebody else gets in their head like that. But how does that happen? Because I'd be willing to bet before you were married to him or before that started happening, you would have, if you had heard that story, would have thought, well, how does that happen to women? Aren't you strong enough to recognize that that's not true? How does that happen? And how is that slippery slope? How does that take over your life that you start believing that person?
It's two things. He didn't do it to me. I always believe you attract what you need. And there was some piece of me that didn't believe in my self-worth, that I was attracting someone who could teach me that I needed to believe in myself no matter what, that I needed to stand for myself no matter what. And the other thing that I believed, and this was my past programming, that if I was a wife and a mother, all I had to do, my family came first. My son came first. So it didn't matter how badly I was treated. If I just stayed and was a good mother and a good wife, then that's everything I needed to do, and my life would be okay. And that's the only happiness I deserve.
But how does it happen, Kristi? And I'm sorry, I'm digging at this, but I'm really genuinely curious. Like, is it literally that direct? Like, hey, you look ugly today. And what does happen and what goes through your mind as it happens?
It's a slow process. And I've been working, Lisa Romano, was named the most influential woman of 2020. She deals with narcissist and codependency, and she's on the series. And so she kind of helped me see that they love bomb you in the beginning, and it's beautiful, and it's like a Cinderella story. And then slowly, 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 they isolate you. My family, he moved my family. So you don't have your support system. So slowly, 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 it trickles in.
Yeah.
And it's Natalie, it's not him. He's my ex-husband is one of my biggest blessings, because he's taught me this lesson. So there is the other side. I came out the other side, but the lesson is I get to take care of myself first. I get to have my voice. I get to believe in myself. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I actually was in a relationship with a narcissist years ago, for almost 5 years. And I remember that it's the same pattern. The love bombs, thinking you're amazing. And then it's a slow isolation. And the next thing you know, it's this slippery slope. So you don't even realize it happens. For me, and I'm curious how you got out of it. But for me, I had to have complete no communication. Like, we're done, and no communication for done ever, because it was that once they get into your mindset, it's so hard. Like, still you'll fall back. In fact, even now, years later, oh my gosh, like it's been almost 30 years. Every now and then I'll hear from him, and it's like, it brings right back to that spot.
It's been challenging because I have a son with him, and we co-parent. My son is 16. And so what finally happened, and I am so willing to share anything. So I took my son for Christmas, and I come home, and I never checked his phone, but finally it was like he had dates and slept with women over Christmas, and I saw pictures, and I was like, finally, that was enough. Like, you can call me anything, but I finally took a stand for my self-worth, and I was like, something needs to change. I'm depressed, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm just all alone. Something needs to change. And that really flipped the switch. And I am learning how to deal with him. And I go back to me, and I love him. I seriously send him blessings and prayers, and then when I'm with him, I don't respond and don't talk, But on the other side of that, it's so crazy. I came back to myself, and I was almost seriously, instantly, like within a month, I'm like, wow, I'm happy. I'm alive. And everything flooded back. And I came back to myself, and all my businesses came back, all my passion came back, all my connections. I mean, it just was seriously like a magic story of just, wow, I went back to me, and everything around me changed as well.
So for people listening that are like, okay, well, I want to create success, and I want to be these things. Looking back now, what do you know for sure? What do they need to be doing?
Well, I think we look outside for answers. And I think for me, the biggest lesson was I needed to go inside, and number one, what do I really love? Who am I? What do I want? And not be influenced or search for things outside of me. And I know that sounds strange, that what I've been doing lately is, if I'm searching for a feeling outside, I'll try and feel it inside. Let's say I want to make more money. I'll search, what does money give me? It gives me freedom. It gives me excitement. It gives me purpose and passion. So I try and find that inside. And then here's the crazy thing. It shows up outside, and in ways you never thought it could, in crazy, amazing ways you never even expected. So, I did that. And one of my best friends came and said, hey, do you want to open yoga studios with me? And I was like, okay, that sounds amazing and fun. The same thing with, it's happening over and over. Lots of investments that sound super fun and are very profitable have come to me lately. So I think the biggest thing is know yourself first, and know, like, then you and I do the same thing. You go into your vision board, and you just live from that. You live from that feeling.
Yeah, I share that messaging a lot, and it seems like everyone successful that I've interviewed will say that same thing. that we have to force the vision and focus on where we're headed and what we want versus the circumstances of what is. And I see that across the board, whether I'm helping somebody with fat loss or financially or business, that those that operate from circumstance do not achieve as much as someone that operates from vision and possibility. And when someone is focused on possibility and vision and they laser focus there, that's when I see the difference. I'm curious, because you interviewed so many women for this documentary, is that what you saw across the board? And maybe you saw something different, but did you
100%.
see that?
And not only can I tell you it's 100% true that if I'm dealing with something challenging, just keep reminding yourself of what you want. What do you want? Don't focus on the problem, because then you're stuck into it. So there's so many stories. One that comes to mind is an incredible woman, Marie Claire Cates. She came to the US. She's an immigrant. She had an autistic son, and I think it was Haiti. She came from Haiti. She's African American, and she had nothing. She had nothing. And she started doing like her passion. She started working on skincare, and she became an esthetician. And, long story short, she found mentors that taught her to vision what she wanted and mindset. And it was all basically mindset. And the crazy thing, we were interviewing her, and we were at Natalie Ledwell's house, and Natalie is the creator of Mind Movies. And Mind Movies is all about this. It's about putting a movie to what you want. And so Marie Claire comes in and she says, that Natalie Ledwell, I have to tell her something. Every single thing on my Mind movie came true. I'm a millionaire. I have the life of my dreams. I'm a man of my relationship. Like, she sat down and she said, this is how I created, from being an immigrant with an autistic son and no support and nothing, to the life that she's now loving. What on camera is thanking Natalie Ledwell for Mind Movies and giving her this tool that taught her how to focus on what she wanted. So over and over and over, the story was the same.
Wow. Okay. I'd love to hear some commonalities, and I'm going to tell people to watch the documentary because obviously this goes so much deeper in the documentary series. But if you were to say, like, okay, these are the 3 themes that I kept seeing over and over again, like, these are 3 things that every person I interviewed did. Could you help us with that? Because I want people to kind of get like a little cliff note so they can start applying these things, because I'm going to tell everyone to watch the documentary, obviously, because there's so much gold that we cannot possibly accomplish in one podcast interview here. But what are 3 things, like if someone's listening, they're like, okay, I must start doing these 3 things that you saw as like a theme?
I think first, get clear on what you want. Like, go inside, take some time and really dream. And then when you have that, oh my gosh, that reminds me, like, so many women are coming to mind as you asked me that. JJ Virgin got on, and she had a mentor that said, find your dream. And then JJ would say it, and the woman would coach her. Okay, now 100 times that. Like, how could it be? What do you mean you want 1 car? Why not 10 cars? Like, she would challenge her every time JJ would come up with something. And what it did, it was just expand you even more to, wow, there's so much possibility. So going back to the first thing, what do you want? And don't be afraid. Like, what do you want? And like, let it go. To get into that when you were 10 years old, you're 6 years old and you thought you could fly. Like, what is that?
I love that first tip. And I think what people do wrong with the what do you want is they instantly go to why that's not possible. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so critical that they dream, they let themselves go there, because as soon as you stop it with, but it's not possible, it kills the dream.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Right. And stay in that. Sometimes the time to dream and get in that is not the time when you're stressed. Keep those moments special. And when you're feeling great, whatever, if whatever that is for you, mine's going out and taking hikes in nature, or my morning cup of coffee, or, plan those times and keep that sacred, and only dream and vision when you're in a really, really high, powerful state. And the second thing that I'm going to say, and I'm so just brainstorming because there's so much information, but
yeah, I know you can't even cover, like, because you have all these women sharing their best tips, but You know me, I'm going to be direct and be like,
Oh,
what
I
are the
love
3
it.
takeaways? The Cliff Note version. And I always think we need more. Yes, of course. And by the way, y'all, I'm going to give you a link so the documentary is free. You can like literally watch all these interviews for free, which is super cool. but I want the takeaways because I know people listening are urgent. They're like, I'm going to start doing these things. So number one, get clear on what you want. What do you want? And then don't edit that. Like let yourself dream. What else did you see as a commonality?
The second thing, Marcy Shimoff talked about the 5 pillars of happiness. And it was like your physical body, your spiritual body, your emotional, your thoughts and your beliefs and your emotions. And then there was something about your garden. And she gave me all of these, and your garden is the circle, the people you keep around you. Who are your closest friends? Who do you listen to every day? Who do you go to for advice and support? And she said, Kristi, which one are you weakest on? And it shocked me. And I said, Marcy, my garden. And I didn't realize how powerful. And after meeting all of you and now calling you all my like sisters and like I have friends now who I can go to, I realized how powerful my garden was and the people I keep around me. And so now when I have challenging things or celebrations or just even ask for advice, I have women around me who are like supporting me in such a fierce way. And so I can share things that are uplifting and positive. I mean, just that factor alone of keeping positive people around you who inspire you and believe in you and see you can change everything in your life.
So good. And now before anyone listening goes to, but I don't have those people in my life. It's funny. I love that she says garden. I always call it your bus. Like who are you attracting on your bus? I picture like if you're a bus and you're driving around town, like what are you collecting on there? If you don't have those people in your life, there's so many resources for free podcasts, downloading and watching all of this documentary, books, like everyone successful that should be in your garden or on the bus, they leave clues everywhere. So even if you don't have those friends or your spouse is not that, or you don't feel that, you can start just by listening to the podcast, just by watching the documentary, by reading the books. That is the same thing as getting those people in your ear.
So true. And that's why there's about 20 interviews that I'm like, well, this is going to go on autoplay on when I exercise. That's is what I do. I feed my mind. And it's so crazy. It happens so quickly when you just keep putting the good stuff in. It really, it's powerful.
Okay. So number 1 was get clear on what you want. Number 2 is from the pillars of happiness, but like your garden, who are you attracting? And then what was the third biggest thing?
I'm going to take it now. We're going to be, make it the bus, not your garden, but it's going to be the bus. Who's on your bus? And I think the third thing, it's going to be 2. It's going to be 2. So I found talking to everybody that finding the easier way in terms of mentors or someone who's done it, who you want to model, find out, take them to coffee, join a mentorship program, follow the tools to success that someone's already done. So don't figure it out by yourself. Go and find a coach, go and find a mentor, go and find someone who is doing what you want to do and have them show you the easy way. Like we were talking about, Natalie, you were saying things that you learned on all of this journey. Like I would now, if I had a question how to do a podcast, I'd come to you instead of trying to figure it out myself. Like go to someone who's already done it.
So good. But I want to edit that. And Kristi, I already know that you're going to agree with this because I'm going to edit that a little bit because you mentioned find a mentor, take them to coffee. But one of the worst things you can do not do this. Don't send Kristi or me a DM saying, hey, can I pick your brain at coffee? Because like literally I don't even have time to have coffee with my husband, let alone like let someone pick my brain. What I know that you meant by that, and you can fix me if I'm incorrect here, is like add value to the person, meaning like either coach with them, so you're hiring them, or be a success story for them. Add some kind of value to them first before being a taker and taking, because when you reach out to someone and you're saying, hey, will you be my mentor or can I pick your brain over coffee? What that does is that puts work on the person you're asking. So just think about that for a minute. I'll tell you, I'm way more likely to want to help somebody when they've invested in my programs, like they're in my network, or maybe they have found a way to add value. Now I'm all about wanting to help them because you're in my world now. Like I know one of the things is if someone's had massive success in my programs, like with fat loss, for instance, and they're sending me a testimonial, I'm like all about wanting to help them. I want to know who they are. How do I grow them? How do I help them? All of that. But the second someone's like, hey, can I pick your brain over coffee? It's like, I don't know if you notice that too, Kristi, and you can correct me if I'm incorrect there.
You're so right. And just now when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, all those DMs, and you're right. So Joe Polish has the best story of how he started working with Richard Branson. What he did is he created a massive fundraiser for one of Branson's charities, like raised, I don't know, I can't remember the number, but it was millions of dollars and millions of dollars. You come first with, how do I serve you? How can I help you? How that's a learning experience on its own. How do I get into your world and help add value to you? And then the person is naturally excited to give back. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Natalie. And you always have to add value first, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So you say, get clear on what you want. Who's on your bus? Mentors, like learn from someone who's in there. And then you said there's a fourth that you wanted to add on to that. What's that?
The fourth, and I love it, is then take massive action. When those dreams come in and you get that first step, ooh, here's a good one. And guess what? It's usually the scariest thing that comes to mind. Usually that first step, you're like, no way, I could never do that. That's exactly what you need to do.
Oh, I love that. Can you give us an example of that? Like, give me an example of where you took massive action and it was the scariest step first.
Oh, well, I'll first tell about the ladies. I would ask them sometimes, are you afraid? Because all of them would say, yes, that was so scary. I had this dream and I was so scared. And I would say, are you still afraid? And most of them said, I'm afraid right now. Like, I'm afraid to be talking to you. I'm afraid every day. But what happens, Natalie, and you know this, it becomes almost like, ooh, it's scary. Ooh, that's going to be kind of fun. And I'm so scared, but I'm doing it. Too bad. It's not going to
be so good. I love that. I love that. I want to add something else. And I know I'm interviewing you, so people are going to probably message me and go like, why just interview her? Shut up, Natalie. But I've got to ask this. So it's so interesting. But one thing that I found when I'm scared or I'm in my head about, I don't want to do something or I don't want to do this, what I always remind myself is that if I'm coming from a place of service, I'm going to at least help one person. And by me not sharing that or going for it, I'm making it about myself. Because if I can get out of my head and over my ego and go do that live or go open that business or go do whatever, I'm going to be helping someone. And I think sometimes when we're scared, we're in our heads about how we look or how we're going to be judged or why we're out of our comfort zone. And that's actually selfish. And that I remind myself of that all the time, because believe me, there's many times I don't want to get on Facebook and do a live. I don't want to record the podcast because I'm in my head about my comfort zone and how I'm going to look. But I know darn well that if I help one person, that's serving, that is focused out, and that's the greater gift. So I almost flip that it's selfish not to.
It's so true. And not only that, I just watched an interview, Sage Levine has a quote. It goes even deeper. If you're not sharing your message or teaching or being authentic who you are out in a bigger way, you're being selfish. How dare you not share your gifts that were given to you to help people? They were given to you for a reason, and it's being selfish to stop, to doubt yourself. It's so true.
You know what's so funny? Pretty much any book you'll read on leadership or any motivational speaker will say that. And also, if you're of faith and you read the Bible, it's like heavy in there too about leadership. And so that is not something brilliant and new from anyone you've interviewed. It's literally written everywhere.
It is. And it's so weird that even me, even you, we know this, we feel it, we know it, we live it. And there's so many different layers still. There's so many different layers of, even when you hit the next level, you're still like programmed. Who am I to do this? And you have to remind yourself, who am I? Who are you not to? But it's not your natural thinking. So, you know, you can step into it, but it's not just a one and done. You have to keep challenging yourself and reminding yourself. The bigger you get, the more people you can inspire.
Totally true. KRisti, what is your vision for this documentary? What is your vision for it? What's your vision for those watching it? What are you focused on creating with this?
I love that question so much, because from my story, so I came out of that, and that this series is for me. And so, as you said, if one woman watches this series, and I get emotional every time I think about it, because if one woman watches this series and doesn't have to go through what I went through, because she knows there's women and sisters and our whole beautiful tribe of this divine femininity, like calling her to more and not having to go through the doubt and the 15 years of pain that I had to. That's what I'm so passionate. That's why I'm like, this series is so special,
beautiful,
needed in this world. That is my mission with this. And I'm so honored to be part of all of you and to have anyone watch the series.
Yeah. And what a give, because you actually invested a lot, not just your time, but financially to create this. So why on earth are you giving it for free? I mean, I love it, but why is it free for people to watch?
Well, it's just like the amazing thing is so beautiful. We've been getting all these women and they share it, and it's the sharing on the numbers. They opt in and they share it with their friends, and they create their own tribes. And that's why Jeff is brilliant, because he does social causes that mean something to him, and he has daughters, and he has a wife that is like, has changed his life. And so this is something, and we're putting it in Spanish. And so, you know, I mean, it's like all the women know it's this beautiful movement. And I just hope everyone logs on. The one thing is, you do have to watch it quickly.
Okay.
Day one, you have to watch it. Day two, you have to watch it, because they do go away. So the series, you do have to watch quickly. So
all right. So everyone, get them while they're free. I'm going to put a link below so you know exactly how to find them for free. So I'll put a link below. So, but I'm believing that you're likely going to be able to find it too at nataliejillfitness.com/millionaire, nataliejillfitness.com/millionaire. But even better, go to the link in the show notes, because that will definitely direct you to where you can access them and do it quickly. Like as soon as you're here, like pause this podcast now and do it, because I don't know when you're listening to this, and I want to make sure you have access to them. This is awesome. KRisti, what else do you want women to know and men? Is this for men too, by the way? Can men like this and listen to it? Will they still get stuff out of it?
So crazy. So we have 3 men cameramen who are incredible, and they texted Jeff and said, this series was amazing. It will help so many women, and it helped me. I mean, we have a tapping expert, and some of them were tapping along. I mean, there's just so much.
I love that. Oh, you know what? Now that you said that, when you all came here and we're filming, at the end of our section, the lead cameraman said, I really needed that today. So you're right. He did. That was awesome.
It's universal. And sometimes I do these podcasts, and most of the men who text me and go, I loved what you said. I really believe the same thing. I needed to hear that. So it is really for everyone. And I think everyone will just, you know this, if you're listening, it's meant for you, and go on and enjoy all the information.
Oh my gosh, so good. Well, I found this super helpful today. I love the tips that you shared. I love your story, and that you broke through that relationship and you've created so many times. What's next for you? Like what, because gosh, this has taken up your whole year during COVID and the pandemic and everything. Like you crushed on this. Like you turned setbacks into like, I'm going to be motivational and figure this out and learn. I'm sure it uplifted you. So what's next for this and for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always loved working with women. Like women entrepreneurs are my passion. And so I'm working with a few women that I'm just loving, and I'm creating tribe, and I am now craving something fun. So I don't know, but this one has just been, I'm still in the bliss of this and so grateful. And I don't know what's next. I'm like kind of
because I believe I was like your last interview for this too, right?
You were.
Are you having withdrawal from not interviewing people for this right now? Because it looks like you were doing it all year.
Yeah, I'm already planning number 2, but
the millionaire within hers, or the millionaire within her kids, the millionaire within her husband, I guess. Yeah.
No, there will be the millionaire within her too.
Okay.
There's so many women, and I believe it should be a continual educational process. Like, let's keep it going. And not only that, we need all of you in the same room to do some.
Oh, how fun. That would be fun.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, what's really cool is at least 5 of the women that you had on, I actually personally know. So that was pretty cool to see that they were in it too, which just reaffirmed that I've done a good job adding people to my bus, like having those right people around me. So I'm glad you're on my bus now too. And all right, everyone, make sure you go to the link that I've got in the show notes, because I want to make sure, go to nataliejillfitness.com/millionaire so you can access the documentary series for free. Really important you do that. It's time sensitive whenever you're listening to this. And if you found this episode helpful, please leave us a review, a nice one, please. Let us know. You can also find Kristi on Instagram, even though she's not posting a lot there yet. We're working on her, but you can find her there. And thank you so much, Kristi, for being here today.
Thank you, my beautiful friend. I am so excited to continue playing and working with you. It's been super fun today.
Amazing. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kristi as much as I enjoyed chatting with her. Now make sure to go and check out this free docu-series. So many great interviews, so much wisdom, and the series right now is free. All you have to do is go to nataliejillfitness.com/millionaire to access all of the series. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen in as my guest today. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with friends and on social media. I don't advertise this show, so I rely on word of mouth and reviews to get it out in the world. The biggest thank you that you can give me is leaving me a review, and a nice one, I hope, by the way. This is how others find these episodes. If you do leave me a review, be sure to message me at support@nataliejillfitness.com with a screenshot of your review, because I would love to send you a free digital download of my DSR journal as a thank you. And please don't forget to connect with me on social media at Natalie Jill Fit on Instagram and Facebook.